What'd you do today? I know you did something. Shit, we're live. I'm muted, right?
I'm not muted.
Oh,
Hello, welcome to the panel. I'm Hannah. I'm from San Diego. Oh, there's echo.
I think it's because no, I think it's fine. I think it's just if you have the live stream on
Okay.
the back, then you'll just hear, yeah.
Okay. So hi, I'm Hannah. I'm from San Diego, California. I'm part of the Blueprint team, and I'm planning to major in finance or math. The other panelists are Vivian, Annie, and Tony and Lily. So if they can briefly introduce themselves, like name, year. Oh yeah, I'm a freshman, but also name, year, like grade. I mean, that's the same thing, but major and like a fun fact about you.
All right, I'll go first. I'm Tony. I'm a current sophomore at MIT, and I study CS, which is known as like 6-3 here. And a fun fact is that I still haven't learned how to swim yet, and you need that to graduate. So, but I'll figure it out eventually.
I can go next. My name is Lily. I am also a freshman like Hannah. I'm planning on studying computer science and brain and cognitive sciences. And I would say that my fun fact is I play Ultimate Frisbee. I don't know if anyone here does, but it is a huge part of my life and my college experience as well. So it's very fun. I would recommend.
I will go next. I'm Vivian, and I am also a freshman here at MIT, and I'm planning to study computer science. My fun fact is that I really like extra spicy food.
I'm Annie. I'm a sophomore, also studying CS. My fun fact would be that I swim very slowly, even though I'm from Florida, and I passed my swim test in like 10 minutes, which is a really long time, but I still passed. Yeah, that's it.
So the first question is like a general question for everyone. What first got you interested in coding and computer science?
I can take this one first. Oh, unless someone else wants to take it. Okay.
You can go.
Okay. So I think for me, my interest in computer science has been like developed over a very, very long period of time. I think computer science is a super broad field. So as you all probably know, even within our like Blueprint Learnathon, there are many different styles of computer science, whether that just be raw Python for our start hacking track, whether that be web development, app development, game development, and there's so much more that we don't even cover, things like machine learning, artificial intelligence. I think the thing that first really got me into programming was probably playing games online. I really liked Minecraft as a child, and I really thought it was super cool how you could create this game and all these things on computers from nothing, essentially. And then as I got older, I participated in things like Blueprint, or I got more chances to pick up new skills, apply things I was learning. Right now, I'm super interested in machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is not something that I learned when I was super young. It's a more recent thing. But I'd say probably started with games and then evolved as I learned more and more about what is possible. And if you want to grow your interest in CS, I'd say probably a cool way to do it is just explore, throw yourself into new situations, try and hear about what's going on, what the hottest new things are in the field. Try and just think about like cool things that you see all around you every day, because we interact so much with computers, and that will probably, that's how my passion came about. So.
Oh, I can go next if no one else wants to. So I'd say I'm also kind of like Lily. Like when I was a little kid, I liked gaming a lot. So I'd always like try to pick up programming because I'm like, oh, you can make video games with programming. So it's really cool. But I remember like when I was little, I would always like start and then like stop really quickly after because it was super hard to like get started by myself. So it wasn't really until like high school when like I joined my CS club and like I met a bunch of friends that I started like getting more into it. And that's when I felt like I really like got like a better grasp of things. Like when I had like a more structured environment and like people around me to like help me through stuff, I like felt a lot more comfortable with CS and like hopefully Blueprint can help you guys out with some of that.
Wait, what was the question? How did you get into computer science?
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a longer journey for me. I I started doing first robotics in middle school. I don't know if you guys know what first robotics is, but I did a lot of the building side of it, and there was always like I was kind of exposed to programming in the back, even though I was building most of the physical robot. And then I kind of decided that building robots is not in for me, but the STEM field is really cool either way. And then around middle of high school, I started taking CS classes, and I tried doing this thing called Cyber Patriot, which is like kind of a cybersecurity competition. And also, I got really into the capture the flags, like Pico CTF, Angstrom CTF. Those are all really fun for me. And I started attending my first hackathon in like my senior year of high school. So it's okay to like start really late. Like I, my first hackathon project was super bad. It was like terrible. It was like one page and it had like a cat on it, and it just like it just like imported something from Google, like one of the default systems, and it was really crappy. But I think part I like the creation and innovation part of robotics, but I didn't like the iteration process and like how time consuming and like laborious that it could be. And I really liked how you can get your CS ideas across in literally like less than an hour if you felt like it.
Okay, I will go
Yeah.
last. It was like Tony where uh like deciding to study CS was kind of a long journey. I was well, ever since I was a kid, I originally wanted to be a doctor and like study biology and stuff like that. But then I went to high school and I took some classes and I realized that I don't like biology that much and I didn't want to be a doctor. And then I took like a just a few coding courses in my community college, like intro to Python and C++, C, and Java. And then I kind of like the problem solving behind it. And so it was actually really last minute. I couldn't decide what to study until I was applying for college. So if you guys are worried about what major that you want to do when you go to college, don't worry about it because I decided really late and it still worked out.
Thank you guys for sharing. The next question is, how do each of you seek inspiration and ideas for projects? This could sometimes be the hardest part of hackathons.
So I think this is maybe somewhat hard advice to implement for this hackathon. So I'll give you guys like two things. The first thing that I do is, in general, I found that I'll be walking around during the day, not in a CS scenario or like CS environment at all, and I will have an idea about a problem I'm facing. I'll get annoyed about how I have to write a shopping list and I don't know what groceries to buy based on like what food I want to eat that week. And I'll think in my head, like, I wish I had a better way to do this. Or I'll have a silly idea and I'm like, I wish I could make this silly thing. And the thing that I do whenever I have an idea like that, I have a note in my phone that I just go to and I write that down. And that way, when I have an opportunity to execute an idea, like at a hackathon or something like that, I have this big list of notes in my phone that I can then just scroll through and like remember the problems that I faced as they came up. I think since you guys don't have that longer time period, that might not be as helpful. certainly over the next week, if you have ideas like that, I would suggest you to write them down. But I'd say the bigger thing when you're trying to come up with a CS or programming project related idea on a really small time scale, I would say two things. I would say it helps firstly to ideate with other people, get in a room, or I guess in y'all's case, I would get in a Zoom call, a Discord call, whatever you want. And make sure that you're all very open to just throwing ideas out there, just getting as many things as possible on the page. And then the second thing that I think is super helpful is having a time period to generate silly ideas. Because a lot of the time I've found that the silly or strange or seemingly really stupid ideas are the ones that can get people the most excited. If they seem funny, I think people have a lot more of a desire to work on them. So I would say be open to silly ideas, put out as many ideas on a page or a Google Doc as you can when you're trying to come up with an idea for next weekend. And you don't have to try and make an idea that's going to like solve the world. You can just do something that's fun, something that's interesting. So I don't think you guys should try and like filter your own ideas as you have them, because sometimes I do that. I'll come up with an idea and I'll say, no, that's silly. But that kind of thinking is really not helpful, especially for a hackathon. You need to respect every idea that you have, put it down on the page, and then once you've put them all out, I think you as a team can go and reevaluate them, and the standout ones will jump out to you. So be easy on yourselves, have a lot of fun. I think ideating can be fun because you can bond with people a lot that way, throwing out really like strange concepts. And then someone else might hear it and bounce off of it and roll with it. So yeah, I think that is how I would recommend approaching your ideation this hackathon.
Yeah, also along the lines of what Lily said, like since ideating for hackathons is like a lot different than like how you'd like normally ideate if you just want to like start up a CS project, right? Because obviously in a hackathon, you're like super limited for time constraints. You have like one day to do everything, and you have like a whole team of people that you have to get on board. So I'd say like Lily said, the one of the best ways to do it is just get as many ideas out there. And things that I think are like especially important for a hackathon is that I don't think like your main goal when ideating is to like which should be to like make a project that would win. I think you guys should like all focus on working on something you care about and would have like fun making, because at the end of the day, that's like kind of the point of the hackathon, is to like learn and grow and like hopefully like connect with your teammates. I don't necessarily see like winning as the end goal of the hackathon. So I think like just keep that in mind while you're ideating. You're not necessarily ideating to win. You want to like make an idea that you'll have some fun with, and that should be like the point of Blueprint. And like Lily said, I think like finding a problem you care about and trying to solve it is like one of the best ways to go about like finding ideas.
Okay. So the next question is, are we in the same room right now? And Vivian is outside the room that I'm currently in. I don't know about the other three.
I'm in my dorm room, and I don't think anyone else is in the room with me right now. So
Too. I think we're almost all in the same building, but I am also just in my room.
So, I'm a lecture assistant for the Intro to Python class at MIT, and I just got out of hosting my office hours. And I live in next house, which is super far away. So I'm just like in a small lounge nearby in the CS building.
Yeah, I am sitting on the ground outside of the Naz's room.
Let's go. Also, to anyone who just joined, you can submit your questions on go.hackamit.org/bp/Slido. Yeah. So the next question is, what is your favorite project that you've worked on so far?
Ooh, okay. I love this question. So outside of the stuff I've worked on for Hack, I'd say my favorite project I've worked on is a website I made for myself to watch anime. So I'm a really big weeb, just like putting it out there. So I wanted to like find a better and faster way to watch anime, but I'm also like I just didn't want to pay for a service. I don't know why. And I also had a lot of free time in the summer, so I decided to like set up my own anime like torrenting system and streaming system and like put all the anime I watch onto a single site. And now I use it kind of regularly to watch anime, and it's like it's very useful, and it's like probably the project that's made me the happiest because like I get actual like utility out of it on like a weekly basis whenever I have time to watch anime. So yeah, that's like definitely been my favorite project so far. And it's also like helped me seeing how far I've come like since I've been programming. Like it's definitely the biggest thing I've ever made by myself. And like it's just a lot more readable and like maintainable than stuff I've made before. So it kind of makes me feel like I've progressed as a programmer. So that was also really nice.
I think last almost exactly a year ago, me and a group of friends finished a project for Web Lab, which is a web programming competition at MIT, where we made a multiplayer storytelling game called Campfire, which wasn't really a game. It's like each person would take turns like answering like helping form a story. And then so one person would say like would start a sentence or like start a story, and then you'll keep pushing the story forward through a series of people. And at the end, if a majority of the people wanted to publish a story, we had a gallery of every story that people ever wanted to publish. And it just made me really happy when people sent us emails being like, wow, we actually had so much fun just playing your game and like making stories together. And I feel like I never had like because I didn't do that much CS before, I never had that experience of people using something that I helped build and bring a little bit of joy into their lives, which is really, really a new and nice feeling, I want to say.
Wait, I have to agree with Tony about like people using what you make in your life. I just started kind of coding, so I only have kind of one big project. Over January, I worked at this like meat company, and I had to build an inventory system because they had like two teams in their company, and those two teams had no way to communicate with each other. And so they had me set up like this inventory system for them to kind of like send requests to one another. And they are kind of a small company, so I was kind of happy that whatever I was building, back on it, because I know like when you work in larger companies, you kind of do small tasks, but this was kind of a big project. And when we like trialed, when we like ran a test run, um, it was a nice feeling because all the employees really liked it. And when I got feedback, they all kind of like said how much they loved the system I had built and how much like easier their lives were. And so yeah, that was a nice feeling.
Okay, cool. So the next question is, outside of Hack MIT, what other clubs or organizations are you involved in? I can answer this one first. Last semester, I was part of Asian dance team, and I'm also part of my sorority, Delta Phi Epsilon. Yes.
I kind of hinted at this before, but I think the biggest thing that I do other than hack is ultimate frisbee. I'm going to use this chance to plug frisbee and sports in college in general. If you're not a varsity athlete, which I am not, I think that college sports at the club and intramural level. So for those of you who don't know, there are usually 3 levels of sports in college. There's intramural, which is like the lowest level of commitment. There's club, which is a little bit more commitment. And then there's varsity, which is obviously when people get recruited to play a sport. It's usually for a varsity sport. So I play ultimate frisbee. I absolutely love it. I've been playing since high school, but most of the people who joined the team this year were complete beginners and didn't know how to throw a frisbee. The environment is really welcoming. I absolutely love everyone that I've met, and we play pretty seriously in tournaments. We're going to Texas in a few weeks to play in a tournament, so it's super exciting. So if you want to have some physical activity when you're older, or if your school or your area has a frisbee team, I'm just going to plug because the sport is a little bit underrated. yeah, thank you for listening to that one.
I feel like transitioning transitioning into college, there could be a lot of things I could start trying and realize that you might enjoy it, and a couple of things that you might try it and then you might not end up enjoying it. So the main things I'm in right now, I'm in Data Sci, which is a frat at MIT, and I'm also in Asian Christian Fellowship, which is ACF at MIT, where we just because faith life is a really big part of my life and a huge and been a big developing stage at MIT right now. And things that I've tried where I tried Asian dance team, um, which Hanaz is in, and then I realized that wow, I suck at dancing, which is fine. A lot of people come in like they're not that good at dancing and they really enjoy it. And then I found out that I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it as much as other people did. And yeah, I think that's it.
For me, I have not tried that many clubs. I really liked being on Hack, which is like the club that runs Blueprint and Hack MIT every year. So that's been like the majority of my outside commitments, but I've also recently joined the student newspaper at MIT called The Tech. That's also been very cool.
Actually, I just joined the tech too, and not because Annie is in it. I've always wanted to join the tech. I did. I always wanted to join the tech in the fall, but I didn't join it because I don't know. I wanted to do like dev work on the tech, but I thought I didn't have enough experience, so I was gonna wait until the spring. And I'm also part of BSA, which is like Vietnamese Student Association, and um, I was actually surprised because it's a pretty small cultural group here because I'm from the Bay Area. So in the Bay Area or like just in California in general, I felt like every school had a big BSA. And so here it's kind of like a small group. And yeah, and I also I joined like I tried out many different organizations like the UA and SWE, but I don't like any of them as much as I like Hack.
Yes, Hack is great. Next question is, what is your favorite place at MIT and why?
I think I have a few favorite places, but one of them is Hayden Library. It just got renovated and it is very gorgeous, especially if you like modern library architecture. There are lots of really comfy green chairs and super big glass windows. So it is very nice to just like sit there and do work and look out onto the Charles River, which is the river that's right next to MIT. It's very beautiful.
I think there's quite a bit of contenders. Hayden Library is amazing, as Lily said. Um, and also like MIT Nano, like where Lobby 12 is also a really good place to study, especially if you're like in the middle or like between classes. But I want to say like the McCormick penthouse has like the best view of the Cambridge skyline you can get around here. It's at the very top of McCormick, and then there's just like glass all around you, and you can just see the river, the skyline, and it's pretty beautiful, especially at night or sunsets or sunrises.
My favorite place at MIT is actually Newhouse MPR. I'm there like almost every night, and it's like this big room in Newhouse on the first floor, and I don't know why, but no one is ever there. But it's like the perfect spot to just piece it with people. And there's also a small kitchen next by, so you can get like ice if you want cold water.
Nice. So the next question is, what do students do on the weekend or in the free time, like besides clubs and academics?
I go out to eat a lot. I like I'm actually a Yelper. So every weekend I would go out to try a new restaurant and then take pictures and write a review.
On certain weekends, MIT has the Z Center where there's a lot of like rotating courts open where you can just come in and just like play stuff with your friends and it's like completely free to go. And I played badminton in high school, so sometimes I just grab a group of friends and then I start destroying them just for fun. And also going out to eat is also pretty fun. There's like a couple of good cafes here. Especially if I want to take the public transportation here is really nice. Like I'm from Southern California. Like if you want to get anywhere in Southern California, you have to drive. There's like the bus kind of sucks. There's no train. There's no T. In Boston, taking a T anywhere, it's really nice, especially the Chinatown. I also have a guitar in my room, and sometimes I just like to learn new songs, just on my own in my free time.
I'd also say like one of the nicest things that you can do in Boston is just like bike around the city because Boston has like surprisingly very good bike lanes like everywhere. So like if I ever have time on a weekend and my bike is like in working condition, I love just like biking around and like getting some fresh air. It's really nice. And you can like go to like pretty much anywhere you want within like 20 minutes because the entire city is like within like a 5 mile radius. So it's like a lot easier to bike places than you think. And like sometimes it's even faster than taking the train. So it's like it's really nice.
One thing that I do in my free time, like on the weekends, is I gotta get boba because I really like drinking boba. Yes. I also play a lot of games such as Tractor and Catan, my favorites. Um, so the next question is related to this. It's what are your favorite restaurants in Boston?
I actually don't like the food scene in Boston. It's really hard to find a good restaurant. The the food in Boston is honestly not that good. I rarely write very like 5-star Yelp reviews. I think my favorite restaurant in North End is probably Carmelina's. There's also a pizza place. I forgot the name. I can't remember the name. I wish I remembered. There's this pizza place that's really good. And then I think I also really like eating Asian food, and there's very not good Asian food here. But a place I go to often is either Pho Basil or Beantown Pho. And Beantown Pho sounds a little sketchy, but it actually has pretty good food.
I kind of disagree with Vivian because I enjoy the Boston food scene a lot. I will say I'm from New York, and New York food scene is like, in my opinion, top tier. So I think it's slightly lower, but really good. I'm vegan, so I have like a lot of dietary restrictions. And I have found that Boston and Cambridge have tons of options for people who are vegetarian and vegan. There are lots of really wonderful restaurants near campus. There's one called Veggie Galaxy that I really like. Another one called Plant Pub. Some really good sushi places nearby. And also boba is good. There are lots of boba places around. Not that many that are super close to campus. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But I think in general, there's like a lot of really good food close to campus because on one side you have Cambridge, which is like Cambridge food, which is great. And on the other side, if you just walk across the Charles River, there's a bridge super close to campus. You get to Boston and you get to like a food hub. So you're surrounded by access to good food here.
I'd say I also think like the food scene in Boston is kind of it's okay, it's passable. Like I enjoy eating out whenever I have time. But I do think it's worse than Miami because that's where I'm from. I love the food there. I think the best restaurant would I eat at here would probably be like Bova's Bakery. And I think the main reason I like it is that it's open at 24/7. So when you're just like up really late at night with your friends and you want to get like a tiramisu, it's like the only place you can go and it's always really good. So yeah, I think the North End definitely has the best food out of like all the places in Boston.
Mm, I kind of agree with Lily on like being surrounded by food. I feel like all the good food are either near Harvard or across the bridge, and then there's just like a zone of like where's all the food at MIT, and I think it's a little sad. Well, it's nice to be surrounded by food, but it's like kind of annoying to like have to like take a little effort to get there, in my opinion. But I think nearby Five Spices is pretty decent, like a lot of their dishes. Dumpling House is pretty good if you want to go closer to Harvard. Chinatown has a lot of good like Asian bakeries, and it's especially there. Like oh, and like I forget what it's called, but there's like a really good dim sum place there too. And it's especially good in Chinatown if you can speak Chinese, because if you speak Chinese, all the like older ladies like they're like a lot nicer to you. I feel like when you can speak very when you can communicate like with them like very fluently, and yeah, especially all the egg tarts in Chinatown.
Wait, I have to say one more thing. I like the ice cream here because where I'm from, the Bay Area, we don't have any ice cream except for Baskin Robbins. Like that's the only ice cream store we have. And I have to pub Christina's homemade ice cream. Their burnt sugar flavor is very good. It's very good. I like it. It made me emotional eating it. That it was that good.
Yeah, she started crying. That's so emotional. The next question is, have any of you done CS related internships? How was your experience and what advice do you have to apply and prepare for internships?
Oh man. So um so my freshman the summer after my freshman year, I got into this program called New Technologist, which is co-run by Microsoft and Cyborg Mobile. And it was like a 7-week program, and they kind of run you through product management and Suite. And then through that program, I'm gonna be Suite at Microsoft for the upcoming summer. But to prepare and apply for internships, I really want to say don't get discouraged because recruiting, if you haven't had very much experience in the past before, recruiting will be very difficult, and you're gonna face a lot of obstacles and a lot of ghosting. But just keep going through it and don't give up. I want to say the experience. I want to say the Microsoft team was really really nice, and it wasn't it wasn't overly stressful, and there was a lot of good mentorships like all around you, and people are generally pretty nice.
Yeah, kind of in the same vein as Tony. I'd say don't get discouraged. I'm pretty sure I got like rejected from 95% of the places I applied to, or like ghosted and just like never heard back from them. So I think like the number one important thing is to just like apply everywhere and like don't feel bad if you don't get in. And then like try to do your best on the interviews like whenever you get them. And I think the easiest part is like once you do get the job, because usually like if you're working at like a nice company, like everyone's really nice to you and they understand that like you're an intern and you're like new to things, learning the ropes. So this like IAP, which is like MIT's kind of like in between period between fall and spring, I had like a remote CS internship at this video player company, and I was like very new to everything they were doing, and it took me like a week just to like learn what I had to do, but they were all like super supportive and like they gave me everything I needed, and they never like made me feel bad about like going slower than everyone else. So I think that was really nice. So yeah, I'd say don't be afraid and just apply to everywhere you can and hope you get in.
Okay, cool. One of the questions that we got is, what's your favorite dorm hall at MIT? And I feel like we're all gonna be biased and say our own dorm. So yeah. Really quickly, I live in Simmons Hall. It's the one with a bunch of windows. And yeah.
I live in Massey, and although everyone says they don't like, everyone hates on Massey food, I think it has the best dining. But I actually, um, Massey has its ups and downs. Like, one of the pros is that it's really near campus, so that I really like that I can just like leave like 5 minutes before class and then get onto campus to go to my class. But uh where was it? But I think I like the dorms where you have like a cook for yourself community, because I don't like being on a meal plan. Even though I just said, I know that's contradictory, but I just said that I think Massey has the best dining, but they kind of like force you to be on a meal plan with like too many meals, and I don't want that.
I absolutely disagree with Vivian. I think Massey has the absolute worst food I've ever eaten in like all of Boston. Every time I come to Massey, I try one of every single thing there and I say, wow, I don't like any of this. And I go to the back and I just get a big pile of fries and ketchup. I'm like, this is the most edible thing that I've ever eaten all breakfast. And I just get sad and I complain to my friends and I just eat it faster the next day.
Wait,
But
I
yeah.
disagree. Vassar has really bad food. Like every time I go there, I can't eat anything. I try one of everything, and I just wish I was at Massey.
No, I'm on Tony's side for this one.
Okay, I live in New Vassar, but like right before coming here, I ate at Massey and it was like some of the best food I've ever had. I don't know. Like it's really random. But I think in general, like Massey is actually pretty good. But also like I live in New Vassar. I think New Vassar is amazing. Like it's one of the closest dorms to like the Z Center, which is like the gym. It's also really close to campus. It has AC, like everything's new. So it's really nice. And the dining's like okay. I like prefer other dining halls more, but it's like pretty good in general. So I think New Vassar is a solid option in the MIT dorm list.
Yeah, I'm also a new Vassar person. And I will say it's super clean. The food is like definitely better than Massey. It's not my favorite food on campus, but it's definitely passable. Like good on average. And I would also say agree with Annie that the food is not the food, what am I saying? New Vassar is clean. There are lots of people here. A lot of you can't tell from this call, but a lot of hack people live in New Vassar. And a lot of other friends live in New Vassar. It's super close to campus, like Annie said. When we had indoor frisbee practice, I literally ran outside in shorts and didn't have to change because it's so close that you don't have to, you can just run there and get to the gym in like 10 seconds. And it is very close to campus. So I do like New Vassar as well.
I think okay, I think my opinion is extremely valid here when I say that Next House has one of the closest communities, dorm communities on campus. Just because it's so incredibly far to get there and back to campus. The Next House community is really great. But I will say like Vassar is really nice. It's so clean. And like the bathrooms are kind of squeaky clean. It's really nice.
Wait, I
Yeah.
disagree. I don't like New Vassar bathrooms. I am terrified of the bathrooms here. They actually scare me a lot. Like every time I go into a bathroom, it feels like someone's watching me. It's so scary here. I prefer my bathroom at Massey.
Okay, moving on. What are some of your favorite or most useful apps or websites?
I like Notion a lot. I don't know if you guys have heard of Notion, but it's basically like Google Drive and the Notes app, but better. You can make very gorgeous to-do lists. I'm a big to-do list person. So when I said earlier that I have my list of like project ideas is actually in Notion. It's super easy to organize lots of things. I definitely recommend checking it out. You can make super basic things, but you can also get really intense. If you go on YouTube, you can search Notion tutorial or like Notion template, and people get really advanced with it. But it's just very nice, very good organizational tool. So I would recommend that.
I would
I'd
agree that
say,
Notion. Oh, sorry.
oh, wait. Was the question or like one of our favorite apps that we use? Oh, favorite app. Okay. So I'd say one of my favorite apps is the Brave browser because it's like a second Google Chrome and it's really useful because I have a bunch of like alternative accounts, like especially for hack stuff. I just have like my personal account and then like a hack login. So just having everything like saved on a second browser is really nice. And then it also just like works really fast. So I don't know. I kind of like it more than Chrome.
I want to say that Notion is absolutely amazing if you're a really organized person. Like, I think it's pretty top tier. But if you're someone who is not the most organized, you definitely don't need special apps or anything to get you by. I rely on Google Calendar to tell me what happens in my day, um, which is pretty normal. I don't, yeah, but I want to say, yeah, Notion is pretty great if you really like being on top of things.
One other favorite website or app is New York Times crossword app. I don't know if any of you guys are puzzle people, but I really love New York Times games. I play the spelling bee every day and I do the mini and the crossword every day. The mini is free every day on the app. You do not need to have a subscription. And you can do the spelling bee up to a point every day for free. So I would recommend it. I think it's fun if you are bored.
Okay, so this might be our last question or it might not, but what tips do you have to get the most out of Blueprint?
I would say a few things. First of all, do not be afraid to not know what you're doing. Much of what you're going to try to do this weekend is have an idea for something and have literally no clue how to implement it or feel like it's really daunting. I would say take your project in steps, try and implement small functionality first. We'll also be available, very available during the hackathon to give you help. We'll have mentorship available. So don't be afraid to ask questions. And then I would also say you should be having fun. This is not about winning, like Annie mentioned earlier. It's not about making this huge, crazy big project. Tony mentioned that his first hackathon project was like a cute little cat. And it doesn't need to be the most insane functionality in the world, but even if you can make a cute little cat on a screen, like that's a cat that didn't exist before that you put there. And you should feel some sense of accomplishment about that. So I would just say be really open to having fun, trying new things, and lean into the discomfort of not knowing what you're doing. But also, like, you're still accomplishing so much, even if you don't make like a machine learning algorithm that's going to cure cancer or something like that. That's a very like exaggerated example. But just go easy on yourself. You're here to learn. You're here to meet new people, hopefully. And we hope most of all that you have fun and that you come out of Blueprint feeling like your CS skills have leveled up a little bit since you came into it.
Yeah, +1 to everything that Lily said. And I just want to say, like, have a lot of fun and try to make the most out of it. The first hackathon I went to was collegiate, and there definitely wasn't the mentorship system that I wish that um, that existed. And definitely Blueprint is such a great place. We try so hard to make this a great experience for you guys. If you guys have an idea, just shoot for it. You guys have us, you guys have a lot of resources, lots of mentors, and overall, just enjoy working with your team. Don't get too frustrated and take as much out of Blueprint as you can, because that's what we're trying to give you. It's an opportunity that a lot of us might not have had in the past, and we're just here.
Yeah, kind of like Lily said, I think it's like very important that you have fun. And also, like Tony said, make sure you take advantage of your mentors. That's like one of the biggest parts of like organizing Blueprint is getting a bunch of like experienced people to help you guys out. And I think like, yeah, like just reiterating, like your end goal for Blueprint should be to like learn something new and like make new connections. Because at the end of the day, like deciding who has the best project is like subjective, right? Like it's a little bit random. So like if you make that your goal, you're like inevitably going to be like slightly disappointed. I remember like for the first few hackathons I did, I would always like try to go in with the mindset like, oh, I need to win. I need to like make the best project. But it just like wasn't very constructive. Because you always end up feeling like really bad if you don't win. Even if it's not your fault, like you could have had the best project, you just may not have like presented it well. So like I think it's important to just like always have fun in the process itself and not to like focus and like silo yourself into like, oh, I need to win. I need to like be the best at the hackathon, right? Especially Blueprint, I see as like just a big learning opportunity for you guys. So yeah.
Okay, I think we might actually have time for two more questions. Um, the first question is, what is your favorite class at MIT so far? Personally for me, like since I'm a freshman, I only took like 8 classes so far, but I think right now it's either 18600, which is probability and random variables, or 15501, which is corporate financial accounting. Neither of them are computer science classes.
My favorite class is also not a computer science class. I forget the number. It's like 21M 700, and it's script analysis. And I had a lot of fun in that class because mainly my teacher. It was just fun because like even though the focus of the class was to read play scripts, he also made us like we would every day. I mean not every day, every week in class we would like put on these skits, and it was just a lot of like creative freedom for us to like try new things and just have fun. And it was just a kind of like an open community because we would go crazy with these skits and no one cared, and we just all laughed and had fun.
I actually have a lot of classes that I enjoy here. Some of them are CS, some of them are not. 11127 is a game design class on education. So you get to learn how to design games and like principles of designing games and like study games and model games just for learning. And there's a lot of cool stuff that we did. Like we modeled a business game or like a game to teach kids about business through Wingspan, which is a board game about birds. It was pretty fun. Other classes I liked, 18600, which I took with Hanaz. She's pretty big brain. That was a really cool class. I think the introductory CS classes are really good here, like 006 and 009 I really enjoyed. And I think 1750, the professor is like really, really nice. His name was Professor Chapel Lawson, and the class was like intro to comparative politics, and you get to see and analyze all these like systems between all the world governments that there are and like a past behind them. Yeah, there's so much cool classes here at MIT that might not even be STEM related.
I think for me, I have mainly taken like a bunch of Core 6 classes. I found that like I like most of them are like sort of enjoyable. Some of them are less enjoyable. But, like the two I really liked the most are one I'm taking right now called 6905. It's taught by this professor called Gerald Sussman, and he's like 90 years old. He's been programming for 60 years. So like he just imparts wisdom on us in every lecture, and he's always like really funny and approachable and like easy to ask questions to in class. And it's just really nice because he's like been programming longer than my parents have been alive, which is like wild. Um, so I think that class is really cool. And we like learn like really random things like functional programming and like Lisp and stuff like that. The other class I've liked a lot is 6815, which is computational photography. In that class, we basically just did a lot of like image processing work with pictures, like making filters and stuff like that. I always like found images to be like a really like cool type of data, but I never really understood how to work with them. So I liked that the class gave me like a really nice like soft introduction into it and then went into like more advanced topics. Um, so yeah, those are definitely like two of my favorite classes.
To quickly, I think a class that has already been mentioned, but 6009 is one of the fundamental programming classes that every course 6 major has to take. It's super applications and project based. You basically have to do a lab every week for the entirety of the course. And what a lab is it's just like a larger programming project that actually does something interesting rather than, I don't know, just being like arbitrary functions on the page. And I really enjoyed the professor. His name's Adam Hartz. He really likes Python. He's a great lecturer, and I think greatly improved my understanding of how to think about programming and memory and things like that. And the coolest thing about the course was, I don't know how many of you guys know Baba Is You. It's a puzzle game. It's really fun. Another puzzle game that I would recommend. We basically ended the course by making our own version of Baba Is You, and you could actually play it. And that was really wonderful.
Okay, cool. So getting more into like the more logistic sides of Blueprint. So one of the questions that we got was what kind of things are we being judged on? What is important and less so? And how can I make a winning project?
I think this is like sort of a harder question to ask to answer because there's not a specific thing that people are looking for, especially in hackathons when we decide who like has the best project or who wins. It's more based on, I'd say like one of the like highly underrated parts of a hackathon is like your presenting skills. I think in the few minutes you have to like present your project to the judges, you should like make sure to very clearly state what problem you're trying to solve and like how your like website or app or whatever solves it. Um, and also just like being creative is like a pretty important part. Like if you're making a game and you just like remake Super Mario, it's like obviously not like that new or groundbreaking. So try to have fun with it, but also like make sure you can like stay consistent and like have a nice clean presentation about it that you can show your judges.
Okay, so the next question is how many people will be participating in Blueprint this year? And the answer is about 400. There's also another question that asks, will the learnathon sessions be recorded?
So quick information about that. We're trying to record as much as possible. Can't give a full guarantee that every single track will have recordings, but either the track will be recorded or you can look at last year's recordings, which we have on the Hack MIT YouTube channel. But in short, we're trying our best. If we don't manage to do it this year, we likely have something posted from last year that can fill in the gaps. And we'll have a lot of help on Sunday if you need to ask questions.
Another question is how do we form teams?
There is a schedule on the Blueprint website, but I know like some of you are going to be joining, like creating a team with friends that you applied with, but if you don't have a team, we have like an hour scheduled for team formation, which is basically like a speed friending event that we'll be having on gather, and it will be where you can meet people and then form your teams. And this will be taking place, I believe, the morning of the hackathon, so Sunday morning of Blueprint weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Another question is, what are the prizes this year? I can take this one. So for the general prizes, the first place is like a choice of Apple AirPods Pro, Apple Watch, or headphones. And then the second place prize is a choice of Power Beats Pro earbuds, virtual reality headset, or a speaker. And the third place prize is a choice of Amazon Echo, mini projector, or Polaroid camera. And one of the other questions that we got is how many people, like maximum, is on a team?
Yeah, right now the limit for teams is 4 people, like hard cap.
Another question is, will there be any kind of group chat or a Discord server to talk with other students?
There is a go.hackmit.org/Discord. You should join it to join the hacker community. And if you also want to talk to other students, we have a speed running event at the end of the after the end of the learnathon, which will be really cool since Blueprint is open to all students all over the world. So you get to meet students from anywhere.
We'll also be opening up a Discord for accepted Blueprint students, so you could like talk to people in different channels and like hopefully like find a team possibly through Discord as well. And we'll also be posting like all the event links and communications through Discord as like our like one secure main channel of communication to you guys.
A really quick thing about teams and team formation. I just want to tell everyone not to be afraid to meet new people. I actually participated in Blueprint last year as a high school senior. I was on a team with 3 other people who I had never met before in real life. I met them on the Discord. One of us messaged like, hey, do you have a team? Messaged them privately. And one of them I still message to this day. I met her at Blueprint. We participated in the hackathon and we really vibed. So I still hear about how she's doing and we talk to each other. So do not be afraid to meet new people. I promise that you will be able to form a team. People will be open to it. So don't stress about that. That should be the last thing that you should be stressed about.
Another question is, what are the swag items / when are we getting the swag? So for the swag items, currently it's postcard, stickers, sweatshirt, and tote bag. And we're trying to get the postcards and stickers to accepted hackers as soon as possible. We've already like packaged everything. We'll just need to print out labels and mail them out. I think that's the end of the logistics side of questions. So if there are no more other questions popping up on Slido, we can end this panel, question mark. Thank you guys for coming and asking questions.